I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. I'm gonna do it because I don't want to do it, and you'll remember, or I'll explain. It doesn't matter. I think of all the musical artists I listen to that I like relate to their writing, I think number one might be Drake. That doesn't mean like I'm the biggest fan of his or like I enjoy hearing the things I relate to. If anything, it kind of makes me really uncomfortable. And it's been like this for like the last 8 years almost. Kind of. Nah. None of it through high school felt like it resonated with me at all. But pretty much since we've been an adult, per se, ill. Since we've been an adult, a lot of the things that come across in his music have been like, whoa, I've actually been there. Like I've actually done that, and it feels crazy to not relate because obviously you're not like a 39-year-old millionaire, and you're not even that cool. Like don't chill out. But even that, right? That's kind of part of it because when we listen to him, we don't really hear the cool guy. We hear the, I don't want to say loser, but like there's this weird persona attached to who I hear him perform at his music as, right? And that's the part we relate to. The part that it's like not nice guy, but it's very, no, I should be. Drake has very big it should have been me energy in terms of everything he's a part of. And that's the part that kind of we relate to in terms of our lowest level of insecurity. And I say lowest level of insecurity because there's also ego attached to it. And that makes it kind of a weird dichotomy. But the thing that really kind of made this feel important enough for me to talk about was his new albums just dropped. All mid, all mediocre, all average, all whatever you want to say to just say that they're completely unimpressive. But while I was listening to them, I also threw in one of his old albums, one of our favorites. And there's a line where he says, something, something, I'm only 27, something, something. And that hit me because I remember when the album came out, I was like, shoot, I would have been what, 17? And yeah, he's a decade older than me, so 17. And hearing the music, this is before I even really related to it. I was just listening to it because it was popular and you hear it everywhere. But hearing the music and the idea I had of who he was describing himself as and how he like kind of told his story, hyperbolic or not, we know art is all, a little free. But hearing that and being like, wow, that's so, couldn't imagine that. That's 10, he's 27. He's way past whatever realm I'm thinking of as a teenager. And then you cut to like my early to mid 20s, and I start feeling myself like living some of that. And now hearing it again, and I'm 28, and I'm older than, or I'm in the same age range as where he was when that music came out and when I was really absorbing it. And that's the part that makes it very tricky because I think, and I'm talking about if you're reading this, it's too late. I think if you listen to like the messaging in a lot of the writing, you can tell he's making a choice or not making a choice. You can tell he's at a point in his life where he's about to have to make a decision. You're in your late 20s. You're young, but not young enough to say that you're young out loud, but still young enough to where anybody who's like 50 and older is still calling you a baby, telling you you just got started. Meanwhile, you're like the oldest person in some spaces. Like I got called Unc a couple years ago, and now I'm gonna be almost 30. Like I'm closer to being 40 than I am. I was gonna finish that thought, but it got a little weird. Anyway, I'm closer to 40 than I am to first grade. That's so wild. But again, like you hear the music and you hear this guy who's coming up on 30, and you hear how he's like, okay, am I gonna be the nice guy, be the good guy, or am I just gonna turn into everything that I've been using to protect myself from having to actually do any real work on myself? Like, do I want to lean into the bravado, or do I want to go ahead and kneecap myself to fit into a world that, you know, I I, I grew up wanting, if that makes sense? Because that's why, if you're reading, this came out first, but even with like Certified Lover Boy, when that came out, we were so mad. We were so mad when that came out because then we couldn't say it about ourselves anymore because now it's Drake's thing. But that's been us, like always, just little kid love letters, yearning. We yearned for, oh my God, especially being around all those older people as a kid. That was just like my whole thing. So yeah, now coming into adulthood and you still have that mentality, that like natural affinity for just being with somebody, but now you have to manage that as an adult male who can make the choice to be the antithesis of that. And it's hard when you are trying to play a character to protect yourself while also bringing the real you into scenarios that aren't made to accommodate that. And I think the trap of that is you can end up forcing yourself into situations you shouldn't be in, and then getting mad that they don't go the way they weren't supposed to go, and then blaming everything on the outside instead of taking a moment to take accountability and be like, oh, just because I want the beautiful thing, just because I feel like I deserve, or I have made the choices to put me in the beautiful scenario, does not mean that it is owed to me. And that's really where like the separation of Drake's music goes for me. I feel like at if you're reading this, which was what, 2015, I feel like at that point he has to make the decision, and I think he chose lean into it's the world's problem. I'm the jaded one. Like, oh, I'm just a lover boy in a world full of cheaters and liars, and it's like you're becoming you don't feel yourself going deeper into the path of the person you grew up not wanting to be. That doesn't register to you, bro. Like, and that's where we kind of have to really think about it, because it's like, damn, I'm in it. If you're reading this, it's too late. That's me right now. And if I'm unconscious, I can just do the same thing to where I'm making the same music 10 years later, complaining about the same issues, clearly haven't grown, but I'm still just as jaded. I'm still just as, and I think even that part becomes like the trap of being so like woman oriented or woman focused, like wanting to please women and like women, so liking women so much, because you grow up as a little boy and without a dad, you're taught by your mother, who's like very purposeful about raising a good human being, to see woman in a certain light. And you are also around a woman who is like very capable, very amazing. So it only makes sense for you to kind of like hold them at a higher pedestal. until you start like getting older and you start interacting with not women, I'm going to say girls first, but you start interacting with girls, and then you interact with young women, and then you interact with women, and you still have this idea in your head that any interaction between you and a woman, if it doesn't go well, it can't be your fault because you love women. You were taught everything right about women. So if there's a problem, it's their fault. Like that, it kind of it kind of spirals its way into its own version of like misogyny. And that's such a crazy trap to be the good guy for so long that all of a sudden when anything goes bad, you're the victim instead of a willing participant. Like you're 50% of almost everything you do. And that's why I feel like I've said the point already, but that's why it's like a very conscious thing for us to not get lost in ourselves and like try to justify too much. Because we've done some shit. We've done some things. They're not the typical things, but there is no guarantee on behavior, right? And and we try to shoot ourselves a bill all the time, right? Like we say, yeah, I do these things, but I don't do them for the same reason as everyone else. Therefore, they should be viewed differently. And that's true. But at the same time, you are doing the same thing as everyone else. Your intention might be different, but on the outside, you look like Mr. Drake. You look like the same, I'm not going to say liar or cheat, but just like the same toxic person with a shinier coat of paint on you. And because you aren't the worst guy, no one sees you as the bad guy. And every time, because part of you you want the same attention, the it should have been me mentality, wants the same perks of what the bad guy has, you associate yourself and you cosplay this person who isn't going to be severely Iceman. You cosplay as this person who isn't going to be affected by anything that happens to them. You were just certified lover boy. Now you're Iceman. Now you have no heart. You don't think that says anything about, you know, the effect that all of your choices have been having on you? And that's basically what I'm saying to you right now. We're saying to me right now. That Iceman shit is corny. It's very, very, very tempting. It's very, very, very easy to do because, like I said, knowing how to be a good guy also means knowing how to be a bad one and choosing not to. Like you can, it's not a default thing. It's a very, you were trained for this. But that doesn't mean you were made for it. And it doesn't mean you can't do it wrong. I really hope this makes sense. I really hope in a couple years, this like, I have more insight on this and I can see it differently because I know where I want to go. And just because my destination might be good doesn't mean that I will be good when I get there. And I don't want to show up and be the reason something that was waiting for me didn't work out in any aspect. Like, I don't want to show up and then it's like, well, damn, shorty, like, I love you. It's just, I've been in these streets and in my mental, I can't trust you. I gotta da 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 da. I'm Iceman. Ooh, never give a fuck about it. Like that's. I don't think you wake up one day and that happens. I think that's a slow, gradual. This stuff is tricky, bro. Like, I'm glad we're thinking about it. It does make things a lot more or a lot less fun sometimes. But yeah, good job, by the way. You're still not a creep. You're still not a weirdo. You're still a decent guy. I don't know. I mean, at this point, I'm just going off what other people tell me. So that's cool. Still a mama's boy. Always gonna be that. Always, always, always. And you're still a big brother. That honestly, I think that might be. I love my mom. I love everything she did to kind of mold me into who I am. I love myself for already having that affinity in me, and that just being able to strengthen the lessons, because it just, like, you get to stack nurture on top of nature. But really, I think having a younger sister, when I was old enough to actually be your protector, like, it's not like she's 2 years younger than me. Like, no, I was going through puberty when she came into the world. Like, I get to see her as separate. Yes, she's a sibling, but I also get to see her as like you know, she's damn near a whole generation younger than you. I don't know how generations work. We never figured it out, but you get to recognize this and be like, damn, I don't want her to model her relationship after how she sees me maneuver, and I don't want her to feel like she can't talk to me because I won't understand, or I'm gonna judge her in any way or anything like that. And I think numbing yourself from being hurt in general, I think it's like ibuprofen, right? You have a headache, you can take an ibuprofen. If you have a cramp, you can take an ibuprofen. You can, if you hit your knee, you can take, because it's not numbing your knee. It's not numbing your headache. It's numbing your entire body. It's just one size fits all. So I think numbing your heart to any variation of love does the same thing. It numbs you to your core. You just might not feel it the same way everywhere, but you are actively giving away a piece of yourself every time you go into something portraying somebody you never wanted to be. And people can see through that shit too. That's all though. That makes sense. I think I'm done. I didn't want to do this in the first place. I don't want to sit up and talk about Drake to myself. That's it's gross and icky and everything's quiet again. I hate this place so much. Yeah, okay. Love you. Bye. Call mom again. We talked to her for like 4 hours this week already, and it's Wednesday. You don't have to call her, but it'd be nice if you called her. Call Whitney too. Oops, said her name. Oh well.